Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the all-new Kia Telluride X-Pro. Now, I've actually been living with this vehicle for the last week, and so this will be a more in-depth review compared to what I normally do because, well, I'll tell you guys what it's like to live with and whether or not it's actually worth it to purchase one. Before we get into the video, though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 3.8-liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 291 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood itself, you guys can see that it's like raised there in the center, and then you've got the two kind of like divots there. I think it looks really cool. It took me a second to get used to the new daytime running lights and headlight style with the Telluride, but I actually really like it now. And then I love how the grill's blacked out in the center, and you got the silver trim around with the Kia logo, and you can see more silver trim here at the bottom with the fog lights on either side. Then there's parking sensors integrated into the front end as well. And putting it all together, I think the new Telluride looks absolutely fantastic, especially with this X-Pro package. Come around the side here, tire and wheel setup is 245, 60, 18 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see with the wheel design how they're all blacked out and they kind of have that off-roader aesthetic. And by the way, those are all-terrain tires. And here's a quick look at the fender flares. I think those look cool. And if you don't believe me, all-terrain tires, right? And notice how that continues along the side with the bodywork. Then you got more of the kind of like silver trim. And I love how the door handles and mirrors are body painted. I think that looks good. Now, taking a look at the side profile, it's definitely very Range Rover-esque in terms of the styling. Now, here's our key fob for the Telluride. You guys can see you've got the Kia logo there, which actually illuminates when you unlock the car, which I think is pretty cool, or when you lock the car, either way. But aside from that, it's got remote start there on the back. And then you guys can see you've got the opening for the hatch. Pretty simplistic overall, but I love the design. Now, popping into the rear, the storage space behind the third row is decent. It's not massive, but again, that's pretty typical with this segment. And then you guys can see the outlet action here, and then on here as well. Now, so we can fold down the second row automatically. With the third row, you've got these straps to basically pull to fold it down. So a little bit of a different setup there. And press this, that'll lower the hatch right back down. Now, taking a look at the taillights here, I think the design's really cool. Notice X-Pro, and then you've got your Kia Telluride badge setup right there, parking sensors here along the bottom, and then you got the two exhaust tips there. And finishing things up for an SUV that's, you know, in the price range this is in, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Definitely one of the best looking by far. Now, taking a look at the door panel here in the rear, notice we've got a sunshade built in, and then look at this trim. I think that's very nice. You can see the metallic trim as well, and then the padding definitely has just an upscale aesthetic. And then we do have heated and cooled seats for the second row. And speaking of those second row seats, look at how premium those seats look. Now, legroom here in the second row is really good. Got a little storage pocket right there, some cup holder action, and then you guys can see some charging port action down below. And then headroom back here is also really good. And we got our climate controls for the rear at the top. Now, legroom in the third row is actually pretty decent for this segment. We also have some cup holder action. We got some USB action as well. And I like the look of these seats. They have this kind of like perforated appearance in the center, and then headroom back here is also really good. Now, taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see again with the wood trim, and then look at the metallic trim down below. Got our memory seat function here, all of our window controls. We've got our mirror adjustments as well. The mirrors do power fold in, and then yeah, look at the nice padding there. And then, by the way, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors too. And then here's the front seat. Notice X-Pro there, and then look at the design all down the center. And then we do have our power adjustments here on the side, and we got our controls for like the tow haul mode here, or the tow mode rather, hill descent control, and then you guys can see with the hatch, and then your stability control. Steering wheel is manually adjustable. Now, taking a look at the steering wheel, really nice trim all around. And then I like how you've got like the stitching here on the airbag cover, at least what looks like stitching. We do have adaptive cruise control with our steering, or lane keep assist rather. And then you've got your voice command volume controls on the other side. And I like the overall finish here. I think it looks good. Some people have said the steering wheel looks kind of outdated. In person, I think it actually looks a lot better than on camera. And then you got your turn signal light stock, and then your windshield wiper stock. Here's our center gauge cluster, full digital gauge cluster, and notice how I can scroll through some different menus, see different bits of info on the vehicle. It'd be interesting to see what the four-wheel drive split is, but we do have some different drive modes here. The one that I've honestly just kept it in most of the time is just comfort, frankly. And unlike Hyundai, it doesn't really like do a huge change to the gauge cluster. Notice it gets a little more red in sport, but like that's about it. Now we do have a full 360 camera system, and you can see with the backup camera trajectory lines throughout the steering wheel. And then we also have the exterior shot here too, which is really cool. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, response time with this is fantastic. You got the passenger talk, which will basically mean that your voice will go through the sound system, so then you can talk to your kids in the third row, for example, instead of having to yell. The whole dash is padded, and you got some nice stitching there. And then, yeah, more of the wood trim, which I think looks very premium. I mean, look at like the kind of aesthetic, looks great. And then you've got all of your controls here for the radio stuff. Climate controls down below, dual zone climate. I just have an auto mode right now, that's why it's so loud. Heated steering wheel. You got heated and cooled seats. Got the cooled seat function on. It's finally warm enough for that. And then this is our charging area, is what we'll call it. You got like a wireless phone charging pad, all of that. You can cover it up with this black trim if you want. We got our traditional shifter here for the 8-speed automatic, plus and minus to shift the gears yourself. And I like the grab handles here. I think that's pretty cool. And then notice your center locker. And then you guys can see with the parking sensors, camera system, parking brake, your auto hold, and your auto stop start. And then center console, also pretty regular. It does have a charging port. I do like the padding here on the top. And then, yeah, pretty normal glove box as well. And then you guys can see we've got the rear view camera mirror. And then we have a sunroof here for the front passengers. And then notice the premium headliner with this as well. And then there's also a rear sunroof for the back passengers too. Okay, so here's our window sticker for this Telluride SX-Prestige with the X-Pro package. Base MSRP there. And then you guys can see we've got some options on this. This is called Midnight Lake Blue paint for the color. Anyways, $55,120 is the total price. Let's see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility of the hood, and hope you can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors, just do it, blind spot monitoring, and throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. Okay, so we are setting off in the Telluride, and I've actually really enjoyed my time with the new Telluride. I'm actually going to turn this up a little bit so it turns the fan down. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with the Telluride. It looks like it sends more power to the front, by the way. Yeah, right off the bat, it's front-wheel drive based, and I kind of felt about the driving dynamics. But why I've enjoyed my experience with this is just a really like well-designed car. And what I mean by that is not just the aesthetics, because yes, this car does look really good on the outside, and frankly the inside also looks amazing as well. But it's just like the ergonomics of a lot of things in the car. Like it has a regular shifter, which I really appreciate. And you know, all the controls are like in places that make sense, and they all work. Like it's just easy to use everything. And it's got a good powertrain for the segment that it's in. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the ride quality is really good. Like there's not really anything bad you can say about the Telluride, other than the fact that the availability is not the best, and sometimes Kia dealers decide to charge way over MSRP for these. But like, whenever you have a car going for over MSRP, it's usually for, I'm not saying a good reason in the sense of dealers should charge over, but I'm saying for the good reason in the sense of the car is usually really good, and so that's why the dealers are able to charge those price premiums and why people are paying them. But yeah, the transmission is really good. Like again, for the segment, this thing just, it blows everything else out of the water, because it has the most tech, right? It has the camera mirror, the safety tech, all that kind of stuff, and it's got the luxury features, the heated cooled seats, all of that, and it's got a really beautiful design inside and out. And so like, this is why a lot of people are going to Kia and Hyundai with the Palisade, because of what these cars offer, what they look like, especially when you compare to the competition. Like if you want to get these features in a Grand Cherokee, you're gonna have to pay way over $60,000 for that thing. And then, you know, Honda Pilot, for example, you can get some of the features in the Pilot, but the interior is not going to be nearly as like, you know, luxury feeling as this interior is. But with that being said, and also turn signal camera, that's another cool feature. My one gripe with the Telluride, and this is also with the Palisade, is that they don't offer these cars with a more premium powertrain. I think this is a huge missed opportunity. Look at that. And why I say that, the Genesis GV80, right, it has a turbocharged V6, and it's got a good amount of power, and you know, people absolutely love that, and it sells really well. This is obviously selling really well too, but if you took that powertrain from the GV80 and put it in this thing would sell even better, because you would pull more buyers from the luxury car market into this car. This already pulls buyers from luxury cars, but that would do even more so, because you not only get the looks that this has, the interior this has, you'd also get, you know, performance. And I know that they might not be doing that because they don't want to pull sales from Genesis, but my response to that is, I don't think that the same person that would purchase this would purchase the Genesis. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm that buyer. I would probably never purchase a Genesis, because Genesis is like sporty luxury, whereas with Kia, again, it's not technically a full luxury brand. People might call it more of a premium brand, but Kia's kind of gone towards like the rugged off-roader premium type brand, and that's really appealing to me as a buyer, because I like the rugged off-roader looks and, you know, obviously the capability as well. And so if I could get that with a more premium powertrain, that would be something that would push me to buy the car. And so that's the new Telluride. I think it's a great vehicle. There's not really anything you can say that bad about it, because like it's got a great warranty too. If you're worried about Kia's reliability, it's like they've got a huge warranty on it. But if Kia wants to sell Ben Hardy a Kia Telluride, put a more powerful powertrain in this, offer a high performance version, and well, once my Range Rover's warranty is up, I'll be in a Kia if this has a better powertrain. Let me know what you guys think.